And we'll be back after, our break. You're listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark.
Coming to you from some far point station, like a cosmic tumbleweed, both north and south of the Pleiades. Here's your host, Gary Anderson.
That is me. This is Gary on Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark. What can I say? The compound's getting hit by thunder tonight. Well, not, but it will. I can tell you this winter is going to be really cold up here at the compound down at the harbor. Anyway, our guest tonight is Tom Taylor. We're going to be talking more about giants, little people, cryptids, dinosaurs, and all that. But James, before we get into it with Tom, you have some questions for Tom. Why don't you go ahead and ask him?
Okay, how you doing, Tom? You were talking about those lights you were seeing. I believe that was in West Texas, I think you said. Do you think that could be similar to those Martha lights, and you think it could be bioluminescence from insects or an undiscovered animal? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, it didn't seem to move much. It just sort of it's changed in size and finally disappeared. But it didn't really move around very much, and so we couldn't attribute it to car lights or it's not like the Martha lights. They can kind of tend to move around, and two of them go together and separate. So I don't know. It's just a really strange thing. I've seen a lot of lamps out here in the country, and they're just bright. They don't do anything but shine the whole time. They never do anything like we saw. So we're open to a physical explanation. Well, by the way, my brother's Tom. I'm Joe. Just for a correction there.
Sorry about that, Joe. Hey,
that's okay. He's a good man.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Another question. I've seen some documented pictures, I think it might have been in Texas also, of river bottom stone with footprints of, dinosaurs in the stone river bottom, and along with it looked like human footprints. And have you ever come across that, or what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm the guy that molded the famous Taylor Trail, all 55 feet of it. I made a mold of it in the rock. We backed off the river 2 feet deep of water and got that site dry, and I molded the limestone all 55 feet. And that Stan Taylor found that back in the 70s, I believe. It appears there's a typical Acrocanthosaurus walking across. Another one crosses his trail, and there looks to be about a man about 7 feet tall, who's walking along stepping irregularly in the dinosaur footprints after he's made them. And it's been, I guess, the most controversial contested trackway in the world. And so much so that one Sunday morning during the, when I think the Creation Evidence Museum was doing a dig down there, someone was seen in the river on Sunday morning when everybody else was at church, obviously. He took a crowbar and had to know where where everything was, because he damaged the clearest track that was really, no dinosaur could make a footprint like that. And so if it was that human-like, why damage it? But I don't know, people are crazy. But I molded that entire thing even after it was damaged, and it's eroded quite a bit now in the last, whenever he did that. But there are a lot of tracks down there. I've molded quite a few of them. In fact, I molded more than anybody. And we were down there one time just trying to find a dinosaur track. This Japanese documentary crew were over there and had Dr. Morori and Dr. Fukuda were two well-heeled or well-positioned paleontologists, geologists from, I believe it was Osaka University. They came with a real film crew, an interpreter, and all that. And we were just trying to find them a dinosaur footprint. So the crew peeled back about a 4 by 6 foot long slab of limestone, about 4 or 5 inches thick. And Carl Ball and I were digging through the soft clay and came across the dinosaur track that we knew would be there. And then a few inches away, about 6 inches away, was this track that an depression started looking like a loaf of bread. So we cleaned it out pretty good, and it looks like it has 5 toes on it. So Dr. Fukuda, I believe it was, or one or the other, he said, we'll clean that up real good in Japanese. So I said, you want to help? So he gets down, and we take brushes with wooden handles, Windex, and water, and clean that track out. And it was like about a man's footprint. It would be about 6 feet tall with 5 toes on it. There was a crack across the heel, which kind of made it widen it up a little bit. But those guys were convinced. In fact, when we went up to Carl's museum that evening, he was showing them other artifacts he had that, out of place artifacts, up arts. And one of them told Carl, he says, we're Buddhists. And Carl says, yes. He said, but I think I'm becoming creationist. So the Chinese have said, why don't you guys admit those tracks over there? And why can't you just admit they're human tracks? But man, the evolutionists, oh my gosh, they come down on you. I talked to a man who told me about they tried to get this Texas paleontologist, I won't give his name, to come down and look at the tracks. Well, he finally had to. Okay. So he goes down, Carl shows him the tracks, and he won't look down. He looks around, he looks at the trees, looks at the sky, but he will not look at the ground. So when he got back to his constituents, he said, well, did you see any human tracks? He said, no, I didn't see anything. Of course, they didn't. But, that's like closing your eyes in a movie and say, there's no movie showing. So, I don't know, man. They're so dead set against the idea that dinosaur and man could have existed together. I think it's because they think, well, everybody's going to say the Bible's true. If it's true, why not just go with it? I don't know. It's really it's kind of frustrating sometimes that people can just be so like, well, you're a scientist. You're supposed to accept what you see. If you see a bird with green feathers, you say it's a bird with green feathers. There's nothing wrong with that. But man, when it comes to anything that suggest that dinosaurs live with men or they're still around, they just go crazy, especially in Texas.
Well, that's interesting. Wonder what the big deal is to suppress all that stuff. It's just I don't understand the wasted energy to do all that instead of just investigate it more and research it and come forward with it, like you say.
Over at the Dinosaur National Park there in, I guess it's the national park, at Glen Rose, a lot of tourists go there. And some of my friends went down there and they noticed that, and I saw it as well, there were places where a rectangular section of limestone has just been cut out. Well, that couldn't have been a dinosaur footprint because it wouldn't take those out. And it's the size of a human footprint, about, of a 6 foot tall person. So somebody asked them, the park manager, where are the human tracks? And they go, well, we had to cut those out. They're in a building up there. Well, why did you do that? Well, we got tired of answering questions about them. That's your job, man. You cut them out. So there's another deal up there. They had to make a joke out of it, saying, well, apparently dinosaurs put on rubber human feet and walked across the mud. Ha, ha, ha.
Well, I wonder, they say, on the news here recently, they said dinosaurs died both ways, actually. Some of them got barbecued, and at the same time they were getting barbecued, there were dinosaurs, being deep freezed. But I don't think dinosaurs all died off instantly like what I read on the news. What's your feeling about that, Joe?
Well, I've dug in just about every dinosaur strata there is. I mean, the major ones, the lower sediments, the middle, the upper, and the top sediments that contain dinosaurs, horses, mammoths, all that stuff, trilobites. I've pretty well, and then I've studied others all around the world. Here's a problem. Everywhere you go, I was just in Missouri and in down in South Texas. I was photographing the strata along the highway where they had to cut down through all the limestone strata. It's flat layer upon flat layer upon flat layer for unended miles. And there's all these canyons and hills out there, right? But if you look, if you refill the area there with the mud that's been washed away, you'd have a huge area of flat layer upon flat layer. And all these animals are wiped out suddenly. They're buried alive. The clams they couldn't open up. They're buried so fast. A lot of dinosaurs are still articulated. And that would never happen in a swamp area or semi-aquatic area. Something dies. In 3 days, he's turned to goo, and something's going to tear him up and eat him. But to find whole dinosaurs preserved, with their bones articulated, and that is all over the world. In China, you've got feathers preserved on these birds over there. In this one thing they call a Robustus robustus. It's a dog. And in it was this little baby dinosaur he had just eaten. Probably killed him and caused him to foam with the mouth, but there he was. And then later on, they found a big one of these dogs. Wait a minute, dogs can't be alive yet. They had to evolve from something way, way millions of years later. Well, no, I'm sorry, there they are. And it's so articulated that this little baby dinosaur can be seen in its stomach. Well, that's all of the Gobi Desert. And there's so much stuff over there, it's hard to get to because it's in a remote location. But the same thing can be said in all over the western states of America, France, you name it, Argentina, Brazil. There's a guy did a paper that I heard at a big science meeting. I think he was pretty scared to give it. He seemed really nervous. But he had to. He said, I've discovered 5 solid acres of dinosaurs. Solid acres. Down in Spain. Why would he be afraid of that? Well, that sounds like massive wipeout that we're all saying happened in the flood. It's true, though, that there are apparent... A lot of people give them ages. I give them groups. There is a group of